Aloha. I wanted to change it up today. Do a little video in relation to relationships as a whole, and kind of focus in on how the separation grid really affects the personality, the person, our past, present, and future relationships in relation to parents, you as a person, and your kids, and what that means in reference to our connections to nature and the collective, the Most High Spirit, and our reality as a whole, our physical reality as a whole, and how things like relationships, like the separation from dreams and the separation from our maximum potential, is really a slowing down and effect of our individual time and our collective time. And when we, in relation to the foods that we eat, knowing that they're genetically modified, in relation to our relationships that are heavily based upon these artificial observations, these artificial connections that we make based upon, what we are programmed by, a flicker rate mentality on the television, in these drama movies, in the scientism community, in the university system as a whole. We believe what we think based upon what we are told to believe, and we pass that on down the line to our children. And what we believe is largely based upon what our parents have believed, which goes all the way through the grandparents and the great-grandparents. And this relationship to ourselves and each other, it doesn't exist only in the clock time that we see here, but genetic time as a whole. And really, I'm just quantifying something that really doesn't, like the time that doesn't really exist. It's the infinite space of everlasting expansion. But in order to understand it, I am adding like a label to it, which is genetic time, to see how our genetic coding, our genetic clocks, biological clocks, psychological clocks, spiritual clocks, are being affected by the artificial reality, by the artificial intelligence grid, by this transhumanistic idea of who and what we are, to be told that we came from a big bang and a cosmic mistake and come from monkeys. So when you have a large majority of the people on the earth plane convincing themselves that they come from monkeys and they are nothing more than animals, which is backed by the opposite of that, which is, it's not really opposite of that, the addition to that, which is the scientism community saying that we used to be monkeys and now we are technological monkeys, that we've created this wonderful civilization we call mainstream pop, political democracy, inner cities, and capitalism and whatever else BS gets thrown out there for us to be constantly convinced is what our reality is, because that maintains a lower vibration of time on a soul level and the physical and the mental level and the psychological level. Because once you start to realize that mind control is not just for the Hollywood celebrities and athletes and all that stuff, that's just the distraction. That's just the movie version of what mind control really is. In order to that's the psyop itself. In order for you to realize, not to realize, that the biggest psyop is everything, every single thing that has you locked into this physical reality is a mind control. If you haven't pushed yourself so close to your soul, which happens when you do psychedelics, which happens when you have these out-of-body experiences, which happens when you are in love. And when you fall in love, that's the expression of it. But when you are in love, when you have a relationship that exists beyond time, outside of the physical reality, that feeling that is in your fire center, your solar plexus, when people say they have butterflies. These aren't butterflies. People have a picture of fucking butterflies floating around in their stomach when they feel that. No, that is your fire. That is your essence. That is the space that is beyond the sacral space. Your root connections are your family love, which roots you to the earth. Your sacral space is how you create a portal to bring in the bridge between the root and your fire. You create bridges with relationships. And that fire that you are feeling, which we call butterflies and all this other bullshit, is just an artificial version of what your bridge is when you are creating a bridge between your solar plexus and your heart chakra. And that's what relationships do. This is what relationships do when you are connected on a space that is beyond the physical realm. You are creating a bridge to activate and create an opening for your higher chakras, for your higher self. Not saying that this is the only way. This is just one way, because you do this individually. It exists on every plane of existence, like these fractals that are being shown right now. You're doing it individually. And when you get locked into an artificial reality, you shut that down. You don't do that anymore because you've been locked into what you think you love, what you think you are, what you think beauty is, what you think connection is. Like, for example, my deepest attraction to a woman is to be completely comfortable with who and what she is, and confident from that space, her true fire expressed on every level of existence. That's the most beautiful thing to me. And that goes far beyond the physical expression of who she is. But we are taught to believe that beauty exists on the physical plane first, and then everything else will just, come later on. That affects our actual collective genetic time, our portals that we are opening and not opening because of our conscious roots that we are experiencing in this reality. So just as difficult as it is for people to look at stuff like the Mandela effect and be like, oh, well, I thought it was this. Or they correct themselves. We are constantly correcting ourselves, our cells, our genes, based upon what our peer groups have convinced us is our reality, what the mainstream clock, what the mainstream artificial reality, destructive intelligence reality is out there to do. This is what we've been sucked into. And the only thing that we only see it on the manifesting in stuff like NASA and how full of shit they are, and Neil deGrasse Tyson and how just generic and fake that dude is. All the celebrities, these fake demigods, these fake magicians, these fake theories that have created a box of our reality that we convince ourselves and our generations down the line of who and what, our reality and relationship to each other really is. And that affects our portals that are opening up when you make a connection with a person in a relationship to allow in another soul. When you open up to a relationship and you are deciding to create a portal, an opening for another soul, you are deciding based upon your level of consciousness, which is your vibration, a frequency of that moment. And that is a reflection of the vibration and frequency of your parents, your grandparents, and so on and so forth, in relation to what the collective vibration is in that exact moment and how it grows over genetic time. Because the clock time is separate. And just as we can see, like an example of genetic time is that the relationship that women have to the moon and their cycles, and the relationship that people as a whole have to the planets and the sun and the moon with horoscopes. That's something there. It's just been, that door has been shut because that is an example of your connection to the Most High, all that is outside of a control grid that the scientism needs you to be vibrating within in order to maintain a control grid, a slave state mind. Excuse me. So they would separate you from your natural expression. They'll separate you from your true music. They'll separate you from your parents, which is what the technology is. They'll separate you from your beginnings or your understandings of beginnings or even what that really means. They'll give you a beginning, which is what the Big Bang Theory is, which is what the monkey evolution program is. They'll give you these programs to make you believe and convince yourself and your children that this is what your reality is based upon. They will compartmentalize your spirit and lock you into a grid that will maintain them as the demigods of these souls. So if you can lock a soul into a Barbie box, and then you put that Barbie box on the television in front of everybody and say to people, this is what beauty is. This is what confidence is. This is what the feminine energy is. This is what relationships are. This is what the movies are for. These are all this princess programming and all this stuff. It's a whole lot deeper than like the reasons why we hold ourselves back from understanding stuff like, or even comprehending, allowing ourselves to question our reality, like the flat earth model and the Mandela effect and the counter human story, which is called the transhumanism story. The reasons why we don't allow ourselves to go into those spaces is because of the little things. It's these little things. Well, that it's like when people say it's the little things that matter. That is true. It's the little things that really do matter. We are ignorant of how deep the television affects us on a vibrational scale. Not just to mention the storylines. People are still voting today and really believing that voting matters after all of the like bumbly ass things that have been leaked through the news and the media that have given you proof that that is full of shit. After all of that, we still believe in this version of reality. Why? Because the little vibrations, the genetic time of the entire collective has been dumbed down to need slave owners, to be completely hopeless, to be completely separated from our true essence of who and what we are. This is why women are so caught up in this like selfie version. Not just women, men too, but women are this artificial version. Like the expansion of the sexism program is to create a program for people to enslave themselves. This is what all these selfie program, the selfiedom, the realm of selfie is to worship the physical reality, worship the artificial versions of who you are, so you will not explore your soul purpose. So you won't explore and create a portal or an opening for a higher frequency being that will come through that relationship. So you won't access the spaces of healing that will allow you to not be subject to a slave program. Like all the NASA stuff and all the CERN shit with like, oh, we're affecting your timelines and with CERN and all this. This is all, they are all out there to make you believe that they have that power. It's the illusion of power. NASA is the illusion of power. You yourself are the experiencer, are experiencing this reality. When you go into a psychedelic space and you can perceive that reality and how vast that energy is, and know that you are forever that energy all the time in every so-called moment that we exist in, the everlasting moment. When you truly understand that from a space of not at all questioning it, then you will understand that these CERN people are just the most bogus ass people that are out there. Same goes for NASA. And the only reason why, and this is why psychedelics are criminalized. This is why even cannabis is criminalized. Knowing all this cannabis being criminalized and all the health benefits of cannabis, that should give you some kind of inkling, some kind of something there. But our genetic codes have been so locked down. That genetic clock has been so, the actual hands on that genetic clock have been forcefully turned backwards with fear, with the vibration of fear, with the vibration of hopelessness, which is why they always say, keep hoping, hope, keep hope alive. This is why Obama's whole thing was about hope. They're playing with vibrations. Words are vibrations, frequencies, not for politics, for your genetic code, for how you experience and interpret your reality, for how you bring souls into this physical reality on one level. Can make a whole video on that separately, but just to understand even more so how stuff like the flat earth, the globe model, CERN, the way CERN has been placed in front of us, the way we have been manipulated to experience our reality with the television, the scientism community, the university system, your experience as a whole, your relationship to your family. It disconnects you from your energy center. So if your connection, like I go back to the relationships, and I'll end it with this, with your relationship to nature affects your relationship to your family, your root chakra. Your relationship to your family, or lack of relationship to your family and lack of relationship to nature, affects your relationship with your partner. And your relationship with your partner, which is reflective of your relationship to your parents and reflective of your relationship to nature, affects the portal that you create, that is lit by the fire of what these so-called butterflies we feel in our stomach, which is really just the fire of your essence being activated, which is the bridge between your portal space, your physical portal space opening, and your heart chakra, which is then the bridge for your higher chakras and your connection to the higher planes, your higher self, your throat, your ability to process conscious information, your most high information through your throat chakra, through your soul language, sent through your third eye vision that interprets the crown space of information that is constantly flowing through your experience. So if that constant crown vibration is downloading and simultaneously uploading information, then what happens when you are constantly bombarded with the television? See, the television, which is now today is just social media and YouTube and all this stuff. That's what the television is today. Social media. Your crown chakra, the artificial reality crown chakra, is the television, is social media. This is why people are so hooked on taking selfies and making all of these Snapchats and all this stuff, because you are accessing the artificial crown chakra, which is basically just an information portal, and a connection with the collective. As artificial as it may be, it's still a connection. And for people who have lived their entire lives having no connection with their family, with themselves, with their most high spirit, with their soul purpose, it is very easy to get sucked into the social media relationship, because even our regular relationships are not reflective of anything deeper than our external observations of ourselves, our external reflections of who we are. So from the root through every space of every channel of our energy code, we are being affected, and it affects our children. If you create a relationship based upon a broken root chakra and a broken sacral chakra and a broken idea of what fire is, then you will create a broken portal for broken souls to come and experience this reality, which is the design of the destructive intelligence grid, which is the design of the mainstream media, which is the design of Hollywood and the movies as a whole, the design of Disney and all this princess programming, completely based upon the physical reality, powerlessness, the patriarchal program, the separation, the lack of confidence, the lack of connection with who and what you really are. And once that program becomes the norm, which is what it is today, then you've created a space to where you can enslave souls, because you have disconnected these souls, these energy portals, experiencing this reality through this physical vessel. You've severed that tie, not completely, down to the 0.0001%. This is what how that net can never be. They can never be your true God. They can just convince you to the 0.000001% that they are God, with stuff like the Big Bang Theory, the evolution theory, distraction modes. So you basically worship them. This is what celebrities are. And you have sovereign spirits trying to dress themselves like Ken and Barbie, trying to dress themselves like Kim and Kanye, trying to experience their reality based upon looking up to a downward spiral, spinning wheels, running in a hamster wheel within a box, claiming to be free. Backwards and upside down, our reality has convinced us to where we've lost ourselves, and we have to convince others that it's good to be lost. That's the globe, like the globe program of, you're wrong, or even the conspiracy idea, or you're not, something's wrong with you, you're crazy, or whatever it is. That's the slave mentality. That truly is a snake eating its own tail. It will never get out of that. It will never get out of that experience, because it's filling itself up with what it believes itself to be, stuck in a cycle. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to get out there with this video, is kind of relate more of how the bigger picture is directly reflective of our smaller pictures, our relationships with ourselves, our family, our energy centers, our children, our openings, our portals to bring in souls. Because you're not making these children. And that's the whole program design itself, is to convince you, oh yeah, you're making these children. You need to further make them, indoctrinate them into this reality. Make them, part of the system. Give them a birth certificate. Give them this. Give them that. Make it so they don't rock the boat, but they're strong enough to be a part of the slave system, and just dumb enough to not question the system itself. You do anything other than that, and you're going to get in trouble. And your kids will get in trouble. In fact, they won't even be able to eat food or drink water or have a shelter. Why? Because they won't buy our artificial program. That doesn't just exist on the physical scale. It affects our genetic makeup. This is why they are messing with the genes, the genetic coding. This is why, because there's a time, there's a clock, just like the biological clock in the relationship to the relationship that the feminine design has with the moon and the cycles. There are multiple relationships and clocks that we are existing on and as that go all the way up to the spirit, through the soul journey, through the soul purpose, to the spirit. And since once that line gets 0.00001%, or I should say 99.9999999% severed, which is what the artificial grid, the transhumanism program, is based upon, into the highest of the highest 99 percentile of severing your connection to spirit. That is what the physical reality, university system, globe model, transhumanism program is based upon. Because they will never be able to fully disconnect you from your spirit, from your soul purpose, from your journey. They will never have power over you. But if they convince you that you are powerless, hopeless, and that they are the all-powerful and have power over you, then you are the ones that are actually giving them that power grid, your time. This is what work is and all that stuff. If you give them your physical reality time, then you give them your spiritual time, your soul time. This is why we get so bombarded with every single angle, down to our very understandings of who and what we are. Completely artificialize yourself and your reality so you can buy into that distraction and just buy into the bigger distractions of never even really connecting with your dreams, which will allow you to never connect to your soul journey, which will allow you to never be able to create an opening within your energetics relationships with a partner, which will keep allowing vibrations of a lower space, a lower frequency of these babies to come through. So that's basically it. That's all I wanted to get out there, is to kind of change it up, go on a take the perspective of stuff like the Mandela effect and the flat earth and transhumanism, and see like what else, how this affects us. Like even people looking into the Mandela effect are observing their reality from a different perspective. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. It automatically challenges the so-called scientists of CERN, which are supposedly the tippy-top people all over the earth plane. That's a problem for a control grid. That's a problem for a slave system. So once we start to see how all these things are relating to each other, then we'll be able to see more and more what our potential is, and more how this control grid is designed to have us implode ourselves, getting out of this diseased vibration, activating our soul time, our genetic time, our soul journey, our soul relationships on a higher space, individually and with whoever you are guided to be with in your experience. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for all the people who are supporting this with comments and likes and sharing and everything. I really appreciate it. And the new subscribers and the old subscribers, thank you. It really does help, because I'm learning as I'm speaking at the same time. I'm learning as I go, and it just goes really from one video to the next. And yeah, everybody's involved in that process. So thank you. I appreciate it. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.